Good afternoon. My name is William Franken. I am a satirist and comedian, but in a previous incarnation, I was also a community theater actor engaged in various local amateur dramatics. In the summer of 1999, despite being only 26 years old, I was cast in a local production of the musical Pippin. It was performed at a church hall in Ozone Park, Queens. I did not have a speaking part. I was cast in the chorus, and I remember very little about the play, other than that I got to wear white gloves and sway back and forth and sing, "We've got magic to do, just for you. We've got miracle parts to play." Sorry, I'm going to try to get through this the best I can without laughing. Following a performance one night, I was invited to a party at the director's house. It was in the kitchen of this house that I first met the individual who I believed was the actor who had played the dad in the sitcom Family Ties. I said, "Hey, you were the dad in Family Ties." He said, "No, I wasn't." I said, "But you look just like him. You probably get that all the time." He said, "No, no one's ever said that. Maybe it's my beard." I could tell this conversation was making him uncomfortable because he then went on to talk about my ass, about how firm and supple it was. Sorry. And about how much he'd like to see it clench between his teeth. At the time, I said nothing because I just thought this was how things were done in the community theater amateur dramatic circle. After a few more minutes, another individual came into the room, an individual who I believed at that time was the actor who had played the black guy who wore glasses in the sitcom What's Happening. I said, "Hey, you were the black guy that wore glasses in What's Happening?" He said, "No, I wasn't." I said, "But you look just like him." He said, "No, I've never worn glasses." I said, "What, never?" He said, "No, never." I said, "What, you never had a friend that had glasses and didn't?" I have to consult my notes, 1 second. I said, "You never had a friend that wore glasses and you never said to your friend one night, 'Hey, can I try on your glasses just for a little bit to see how I look and I promise I'll give them back to you?" He said no. But then he went on to say that sometimes he did wear sunglasses, and that's when my suspicions were confirmed. Although he went on to say, "But I'm not black." And I said, "But don't they use makeup on television?" I could tell that sorry. I could tell this conversation was making him uncomfortable because he then went on to ask how big my pee-pee was. Sorry. At the time, I said nothing because, again, I just thought this was how things were done in the community theater local amateur dramatic circles. A few more minutes went by. Then another individual entered the room, an individual that I believed was the girl who had played the daughter in the sitcom Benson. I said, "Excuse me, aren't you the girl that played the daughter in Benson?" She said, "No, I'm the girl that played the daughter in Growing Pains." I said, "Oh, you're Tracy Gold." She said, "Yes." I said, "Don't you have an eating disorder?" She said, "Yes, I do." Then she went to the fridge and got out a bunch of ham and butter and left the room, leaving me alone in that room. Sorry. Leaving me alone in, sorry. Leaving me alone in that room with the dad from Family Ties and the black guy who wore glasses on What's Happening, talking about my ass and my pee-pee respectively. Not respectfully, but respectively in sequence. From there, the two men took me into another room, a room that I can only describe as rectangular. They produced, at that point, a bucket. Sorry. A bucket. They produced a bucket. a bucket that had been filled with human semen. They poured the bucket over my head. There was no affection, no intimacy. There wasn't even any sex. It was no warmth whatsoever. It was very cold semen. They had refrigerated it for a few hours. At the time, again, I said nothing because I just thought this was how things worked in the local community theater amateur dramatics circles. From there, I was led down a long and dark hallway. It was a very long hallway. We walked down this hallway for about 2.5 hours when suddenly I realized it was not a hallway. Rather, it was the large intestine of a giant homosexual Oscar-winning actor by the name of Kevin Spacey, who apparently is much larger in real life than he is on screen. Sorry. I lived in Mr. Spacey's bowels for 7 months until, by the grace of God, I was eventually freed by a botched colonoscopy. After exiting Mr. Spacey's rectum, I was informed by Mr. Spacey and by his Beverly Hills colonoscopist that I was in Hollywood now and I had better keep my mouth shut. And according to the colonoscopist and Mr. Spacey, I was literally a piece of shit. I am coming forward now with this information because I believe the climate today is such that it's really easy. So if you've got a story to tell us. We're the news. We'll listen. The news. Good night. I'm doing a short one today. Love y'all.